Let me just render this out. Render it out. Just wait for me right now.
Okay, so editing is going about this. It's 13 files. I was trying to go fast because this is what happens. All right, almost done. Almost done. One more. Let's go.
What up, Techie and Gamers? It's your boy Jermaine back with another new video, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to actually create a green screen on your webcam as you're editing on whatever video editing application you're using, right? Adobe Premiere Pro, Filmora X, which is what I'm going to use, Filmora 10, DaVinci Resolve, any application, you should be able to do this. And what it's going to allow you to do is to be able to have flexibility with how and where and what you do with your webcam as it's on top of your screen capture, on top of your gameplay screen capture. By flexibility, what I mean is that you'll be able to take your webcam and move it to the top just like this. You can move it to the bottom like that, or you can animate it in any situation, or you can just remove it completely and just have this screen capture of your gameplay alone. All right, so stick around and I'm gonna show you how to green screen that video capture, so that way you can actually have the flexibility to maneuver your webcam video capture over your gameplay just like that. Let's go ahead and get into OBS, and I'm going to show you how I actually set up my recording with OBS and my screen capture, you know, my webcam capture, my desktop capture, and how I apply a green screen beforehand before I actually even import that into my video editing application for post editing, right before you upload. So let's go ahead and jump over to my computer, which is directly right here in front of me, and let's take a look at how I set it up in OBS. Let's go. Voila, and here we are in OBS, and this is the setup. I actually have my scenes preloaded. If you want to see how you can actually set up your OBS from scratch and set up your screen for recording and to have this kind of dual layer resolution, right, kind of split screen situation where I have the webcam here and that's basically my desktop or whatever I'm going to be recording on my left side, go ahead and check the video out. I'll put the link in the description. It'll show you how to actually set up your OBS for optimal gameplay recording and streaming. But for now, let's go ahead and look at the setup I have here. It's pre-set up, and if you look here at the bottom left, I have something called the Canon with the cam link, right? I actually have my DSLR hooked up with the cam link to my PC. So what you're looking at here, this particular video feed is coming from the cam link 4K at a nice swelling 60 FPS. But this is the setup. Looks good, looks crispy, looks clean. The lighting looks okay. Could have some improvements here, but we'll work on that, right? That's the whole purpose of you here watching videos with me, right? We're trying to make things better for ourselves, for our game recording, and maybe you'll learn something from here as well, and you can learn how to make things look like this, if not much better. I hope that you can make it better. As you can see here, I have my OBS scene, right? My scene is the Canon with the cam link. So basically, these are the contents of my scenes in the sources, right? So I set up a scene with a cam link. I added scenes, I added sources by clicking the plus sign here at the bottom left, right? And you can actually select what sources you want to capture from your desktop or whatever sources are connected to your computer. My camera is connected to my computer, so that's a source. This microphone's connected to my computer, that's a source. My desktop computer, you know, so you can add all the sources, images, videos, all kinds of browser if you wanted to, right? So a lot of cool options and features. So if you look here on my sources panel, my sources pane, you'll see I have a cam link, I have a display capture 3 because I have multiples. I have a green screen, right? I'll show you what that is in a second. And I have my microphone, which is my audio capture. So we're going to go over how I actually green screen my setup in OBS. I'm going to even add a rounded corners mask just for fun, just so you can see how I can apply that to Filmora 10, which is what I'm going to use. So with my camera, my desktop capture going, my audio going, right? I have my audio levels just at staying within the yellow region. You don't want it to get past that yellow and go into the red. See, I have it, even if I yell, it barely scratches the red. So you don't want your audio getting distorted, and that's what happens when you start breaking into that red barrier there on your audio. So let's go ahead and jump over to my cam link, right? My camera, and let's go ahead and apply a filter. Now I'm going to show you how I apply a mask, right? And I already have these masks created. I created this mask in Photoshop. You can go ahead and look at my catalog. I have an actual playlist
where I show how to create this What?
where I actually show how to create these masks. So go ahead and check that out. And once you check that out, come back here and you'll know exactly what's happening in life and what's happening here. All right, so hit the plus sign. We're gonna add a filter to our camera, right? Up to the top is the audio filter. Down here, we're going to add image, mask, and blend filter, right? I'll just call it image, mask, blend. That's fine. You can call it rounded corners if that's what you're creating. Click OK. Now let's go ahead and browse, right? Here, browse. And we're going to browse for that particular mask, right? So I should have it here, webcam mask. Let's do something cool. Let's do something kind of like a super rounded webcam, right? I have quite a few of them here. I'm going to choose webcam mask, rounded. Now, just so that you know, it doesn't matter here in OBS whether you create it as a PNG file type or JPEG. You can create the same effect with either file type. So for this purpose, I'm using this webcam rounded mask. It's JPEG, and we'll click OK. And you'll see that we'll click close. We created a nice, awesome, sauce-looking rounded webcam capture, right? Sometimes you get bored of the same old square rectangle type of capture. So we're gonna do something fancy and modern and sleek, right? Rounded webcam. It's really rounded. All right, so we have the rounded mask. Now, for all intents and purposes, you could go with this setup, right? You can set up your OBS the way I have it set up here with the split resolution and just start recording your gameplay, right? And then once you're done, you can take your edit. Well, you wouldn't be able to do it like this first and foremost, right? You'd have to actually take that camera and drag it over onto the left screen, because that's going to be your gameplay desktop. So I'm gonna show you here exactly what I mean. So if you grab the right side, your camera, you'll have to drag that over before you start your gameplay recording, right? And then, oops, I did want to constrain it. Okay, it is constrained. So, and then you have to shrink it down and then place it wherever you want to have your webcam pretty much overlaying on top of your gameplay, right? So for just all intents and purposes, I have it here, top left, right? Because I'm facing this way and my game is actually in this direction. It wouldn't make sense to capture myself this way, right? And my game is happening behind me. So you want to have your camera here or bottom left, center, however you want to place it. This size, you can make it smaller, right? You can even, don't worry about the boundary lines. You can actually bring it back, and there you have your recording happening with your webcam overlaying your gameplay. Now, important tip. The problem with this, not really a problem if you're not planning to actually animate or move your webcam in any way as you're playing your game, unless you have, you know, your multiple screen setup, 2 monitors, and on your right screen you have your OBS, and in mid gameplay you decide to like swing your hand over and or control your other monitor and move your camera manually as you're playing. I wouldn't see that as being practical, so that I don't think that would work. I don't know if anyone's actually doing that. Let me know if how someone else does it, but I wouldn't want to be doing that, playing a game here and they go, oh, well, I'm gonna move my camera out the way and then take the time to actually go to my OBS application recording and then move it. Not practical, not for me anyway. So I have another way. I have a much easier way, a better way. Right, so let's bring our camera back. All right, I'm gonna take my camera off that OBS recording. I'm gonna show you what I mean by setting up your OBS green screen ahead of time before you actually go ahead and import it into your video editing application where you edit your gameplay recording. And we're going to add a new source, right? And the source we're going to add, just so you can see how it's done, is a color source. Click that. You can call it, I'll call it green screen, just so that we know exactly what it is. So green screen. Click OK, make the source visible, and we'll select the color. And I typically select one of these greens here, right? This one here is a nice green, fully saturated green color, right? In real life kind of circumstances, you don't really see fully saturated green on this scale, right? So we're gonna select this fully saturated green right here, very bright. Click OK. We want to have the resolution as 1920 by 1080 because that's what our gameplay and our webcam, most importantly, our webcam is going to be recorded at 1920 by 1080. And we'll click OK. With that green screen created, it's going to create it at the top level, at the top layer in your sources. You select your green screen, click it, drag it over to where your webcam is, right? So you basically want to throw this green image, this green color beneath your webcam, and it's going to become your green screen. So if you go to your sources, you take that green screen created layer, right? OBS works in layers. If you've ever worked in Photoshop, you know what layers are. Same with Adobe After Effects, any one of those, even video editing, you work in layers. All right, so we'll take the green screen, put it underneath our camera, right? So our camera becomes the top layer, at least for our capture on the right side, and boom, we have our green as opposed to black on the outer border as our green screening for our entire webcam capture right here, right? So, and I believe that is all you need to do in OBS once you have your sources set up and you create this green screen, throw it behind your webcam capture. You're set to record and you're set to go. And then from here, once you're done with your gameplay and your screen capture and your recording, you stop it and you import it into your video editing application, into your Adobe Premiere Pro, Filmora X, Adobe Vinci.
Adobe Vinci, what?
That would be a nice combination, fusion, Adobe DaVinci, into DaVinci Resolve and apply the green screen or the Chroma Key within the video editing application. And I'm going to show you how to do that in Filmora 10 because that's my quick, dirty, and easy way of creating video recordings, well, editing my videos. I go back and forth between Adobe Premiere Pro and sometimes DaVinci Resolve, but mostly using Filmora 10 because it's the fastest way I can push out videos. A lot easier, user-friendly than Adobe Premiere Pro, unless you're Adobe Premiere Pro Professional. So let's go ahead and jump over to Filmora 10 and I'll show you exactly what I mean. 1, 2, 1, 2, I'm still counting, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Bam, and here we are in Filmora 10. I don't know if anyone's actually ever used Filmora 10. It's a great application. There actually is a Filmora 10 Filmora Pro version of it, but for all intents and purposes, if you're just a quick and dirty video editor and creator, Filmora 10 you'll find has a lot of great features for creating animations. It's very simplified. You won't get lost in a lot of settings. Very practical, in my experience anyway, so you might want to check it out. But let's go ahead and look at how I set this up from scratch. All right, so I'm just going to import the video, right? Click plus sign. I believe I have this one here. Is this it? Let's go ahead and click open. It's MKV. And the good thing about Filmora 10 is that it actually has support for MKVs. So whatever file format, MP4, MKV, Filmora 10 can take it. All right, I always have that problem with Adobe Premiere Pro. I like to record in MKV, mostly for multi-track audio recording, but then I'll find that I'll have to remux it into an MP4 format so that I can import it into Adobe Pro because Adobe doesn't support the MKV format. So anyway, here we are. And as you can see here, the file is already here in my media location, media folder, right? It's not exactly added to my tracks, but let's go ahead and go into the preview pane. Now, without the green screen applied to the webcam on the right side of this camera, you won't be able to, I fell asleep on the camera, you won't be able to actually create the Chroma Key for this particular capture simply because the Chroma Key would have to be a black color, and that would definitely conflict because there is a lot of black happening within my webcam, so I would just effectively delete my hair, well, most of it because some of it's gray, the chair, the mic, and other parts of shadow that are in the black. So black is not a good color for a Chroma Key for applying a green screen. There's a reason it's a green screen. So let's go ahead and go forward to where I applied the green, somewhere towards the end. Here we go. All right, so we just probably gonna press I to take that little piece. We'll skip ahead a little bit and I don't know, a few seconds, and then we'll just take about that much. Click out. It'll be O for out. 38, let's do 1920 by 1080, 60 FPS. That's what we want our final capture to be. Right, but now the caveat with this is that if I double click on this timeline, this image, it's going to be this weird wide capture you see here on my screen, right? So basically what I have to do here is crop that so that it's 1920 by 1080, which is what my project setting is. So, and the part we're gonna crop first is we're gonna crop our OBS side, which is our desktop capture. So let's crop that. We're going to right click on this video in the timeline, and we're going to hit crop zoom or Alt C in Filmora 10, which is to crop, right? And if you notice, we have the entirety of the recording, right? Left to right, that specific resolution. 3840, if you're wondering, it's 1920 times 2, right? 1920 times 2 is what you want to capture. We're going to go to custom, and we're going to turn this first one to 1920, which is going to be our final edit resolution capture, right? We'll click OK, and if you notice, it will just capture the left side now, which is just my desktop capture. Cool beans. That's exactly what we want. Now that we have our desktop here recording, which would technically not be OBS in this case, I just have OBS, but would be your game capture, right? Or whatever other stuff you're trying to overlay your camera on top of. So the trick to this is to actually load this preview again. It should have the same section, right? Same section of gameplay. And I'm just gonna grab it, overlay it right on top of my desktop capture, right? And it's gonna have the same capture again. Now, we're just gonna do the same thing again. Now, what you wanna do is you're gonna wanna mute at least one of these tracks. If you're just capturing the audio, you don't need to capture the same audio overlaying twice. So I'm gonna mute this one here on the bottom, which is my desktop. We'll right click and we should have a mute, and we're going to mute, right? Control Shift M, or just right click on the track you want muted and mute it just like that. And you notice it turns gray because now the audio beneath it is muted. And we'll just have this audio up top playing. Now, what we're gonna do is same deal we did with the bottom track, right? We turned it to 1920 by 1080p resolution. We're gonna do the same thing with the top, which is gonna be our right side. We're going to right click, we're going to crop again. We are going to do 1920 by 1080, right? So, oops. Make sure you do custom, right? You want to be able to, right now it constrained it. So make sure you do custom 1920 by 1080. And we're going to capture this side on the right, which is my camera capture. All right, 1920 by 1080 fits perfect. Click OK. And we're gonna see that it should overlay right on top of my desktop, and voila, there you have that. Now, you're not gonna capture your camera this big over your gameplay, right? You wanna see the game. Beats the whole purpose. Let's go ahead and double click on this guy here. Let's go to transform, and let's just scale it down a little bit, right? You can scale it down this way on the video property window, right? I tend to just do it manually. A lot of the time, we want to move it over to a bottom left corner. Let's go to the bottom left, since I have some green screen happening at the top, right? And now there we have our camera capture. Now let's just suppose, for all intents and purposes, that this is gameplay and this is my camera. This is what your camera or your OBS, this is how it's going to capture your webcam, your DSLR camera. Now, of course, you're not going to keep the green screen. What you want is to have that nice rounded webcam. So this portion of what I'm about to do now is applicable to pretty much any video editing application. I haven't used all of them. You'll have to find it in your own, but Adobe Premiere Pro for sure has it. DaVinci Resolve for sure has it. Now I'm gonna show you how easy it is, for sure, how Filmora 10 can do it. Now we're going to right click on the video track we want to apply this chroma key to. We'll right click and we should see something called plain and simple green screen. It's really easy to add it here in Filmora 10. We'll click OK on green screen, and it's gonna already pick a particular type of green that OBS picks by default, or that you pick in OBS, right? This is let's see if we can actually see the specific number to this green. So it's hashtag and it's all Fs. This is probably very similar in OBS, the type of green you're using, which is probably this green here, right? This is actually the green we're using in OBS, right? So you can actually color match specifically by using the specific HTML color hashtag, right? So in OBS, it's actually located in the same location as well. It has the same basic color grid. So you notice I click here, it's the same exact one in OBS. We'll click OK just to make it perfectly matched, right? But even the initial one it picked seems like it worked fine as well. So we'll click OK. You see the number here. You can actually copy these numbers if you wanted to, 120 by 255 saturation value, right? You can capture these values to make it specific. You'll click OK, and just like that, the magic is happening with very little effort to make it happen. So if you, as you can see here, I have that green screen already applied to this webcam, and just like that, it made the green borders.
That was loud.
Right? So now the beauty of having this like this is that you can have this recording off screen. You don't need to have it overlaying your gameplay like that and then just capturing one particular 1920 or 25/8, you know, whatever your resolution is, capturing it all on one screen. Because once you capture like this webcam is embedded on top of your gameplay. You won't be able to just come into your video editing app and go, oh, okay, let me delete this camera and move it around. You won't be able to, because it's embedded, and you will effectively create a blank spot right in your gameplay because it'll just rip it right out.
Rip it out.
Now that it's imported, right, I can overlay it here and, you know, do as I please. I can
do my bidding
right here. Let me just render this out. Render it out. Just wait for me right now. Okay.
Editing is going about 13 files. I'm trying to go fast because this is what happens. All right, almost done. Almost done.
And we made it. All right, so we rendered out the file just for easy scrubbing, right? This is something you would do probably in most apps. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna splice a few sections just to show you what I mean by being able to post-edit your webcam green screening. Just to show you, for example, let's create like 3 splices, 1, 2, 3. All right, so 3 dissections. Now that I have 3 sections spliced off, I'm gonna show you what I mean. So for this particular section of my recording, I have my webcam placed on the bottom right. So now when my playhead moves and reaches the second splice section, right, I can select that and I can have this guy move to the center, for example, right? I don't know why I would put it to the center, but for example, right? And then when I get to the third, I want to have it somewhere in the center, but maybe I want to enlarge it for emphasis. Maybe I say something crazy and I enlarge it. In this last splice, I'm gonna add, I don't know, an animation, right? Let's bring it back to the center. Go to animations. It has some presets. I guess I can just add a little preset here. You'll have your video doing what you want it to do. You can move your camera around, make it fade out. So it's not stuck in any one particular location. You have the flexibility. And if you wanted to, you can just take it out completely. All right, and just like that, you can create an awesome, customizable, flexible webcam camera capture overlay on your gameplay recording, on your gameplay streaming, in post video editing production in your video editing application of your preference. Easy peasy, right? And there's not much else to go into it. That's all it takes, really. So at any rate, I appreciate you coming by, swinging through, watching the video. And if you watch it to this extent, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe. You're gonna probably be back if you're interested in this kind of stuff anyway. So why not subscribe, and I'll just let you know when I am back, just like that.